spend your money how you want to spend your money. Like, it's your money. Spend it how you want to spend it. Make smart choices. And then also be okay, because we all get burned at some point. And so don't do this because you're trying to flip and make money, like, because you will be disappointed.
Here we go. Here we go. You are now here with the Watchers. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Rod Dye, here with the one and only Rio, the Watcher.
What's going on, baby?
And today we have another special guest in the house, man. One of the great things about the Watchers, we have the opportunity not only to discuss, these great timepieces, but we get the opportunity to speak with the founders and hear their perspective and hear their why. And how they how they embarked on this journey. So, man, without further ado, I have Mr. Matt Castilla. Man, how you doing?
Doing well. So glad to be here.
Let's get to it.
I'm super excited to be here. So, just thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I have had the opportunity to watch what you guys are building. You're building something really dope, really awesome. So I consider it a privilege just to even be considered to be here. So
absolutely. We thank you, man. We always say, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. No, we greatly appreciate that. So for the audience, Matt Castilla is the founder of Rook Castle watch company. So like I said, it's a great to have you on the show, man. But without further ado, we have to see what's on wrist.
Yeah. So who goes first? Rio?
We allow our guests to go last to tie up things. We'll allow the one and only Rio the Watcher. Man, what you got on wrist today, man?
You know what I got on, man? I got Matt to bless me, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One thing that I can say about this beautiful piece, I might butcher it. The La Promencia.
Yeah,
let's go.
You got it,
Everyone stops me about this color dial, man. And we're gonna get into it when we get into it, but man, I love the casing. The side. I'll be honest. I'm not a Cartier Tank fan. That's never been on my radar. I didn't think it would be something that I'd be interested in. But after, this watch right here made me say, wait a minute. I like it. It disappears on my wrist. It has presence without being too loud. And I love the leather strap. It's super quality.
Well, nice. Well, without further ado, man. So, of course, I also came correct, man. The Rook Castle, La Promencia. There we go. Red dial. Yeah. Man. Ooh. And just like Rio, I never was a big fan of the Cartier Tank or the style, but I feel like, with this watch, I feel like it's made me a fan, honestly. Man, the dial speaks for itself. Like, that's what catches everyone's attention. It's very nice. It's very sleek. It's a very light wear as well. And it does disappear on the wrist. And I honestly, like I said, I appreciate you, man, looking out for us on this. I didn't know what to expect, honestly, because like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the Tank style watch, and especially I'm not a little dude, so I was wondering how I was going to look.
Same, bro.
Not a little dude, but once I tried it on, man, and it, like I said, that, and especially under the cuff, that red kind of peeks out from the sleeve there, man. But nah, I love it, man. Definitely a great piece, man. So yeah, Rook Castle, that red dial, and I went red. I know you had reached out to us, and I know I had ordered the blue one initially. I talked to Rio. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got the blue one too." I'm like, "Man, I gotta go red then, man." And because we always have our rule, it's like, okay, same watch, I'm gonna get a different one. So in this case, if we ever want to swap out, we can.
There you go.
Man. But Matt, bring us home, man.
Okay,
we have one today. What's on wrist?
So on the right wrist, I did the same. I got the La Promencia.
Yeah, of course.
On the left wrist, I'm rocking. It's actually a Lorus. So this is a Lorus Disney watch.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse. So nice. I kind of restored this one. So fun story about this watch. It was something I actually won in an auction. And I was just looking around, trying to find something different. And it was like, hey, it doesn't really work. So I was like, I'll buy it. And I got it. Come to find out, needed a battery swap out. The crown needed a little bit of work. And it had no strap. So I upgraded to a top leather grain strap. I got the strap connect, so I'm able to find really good straps. And so I took what was like $20 bin find and made it into like $100+ find, and that's just something that everybody sees. They're like, that's kind of playful. I never really thought about that. And, it's funny because you both mentioned like not being huge tank folks, right? Like right away. And there was a time when I thought, oh man, I don't know if I can rock a tank like that. But then I started thinking about the history of the tank, right? I thought about who the tank was made for originally, Cartier's like history with it. But then I started thinking about like Muhammad Ali rocking the tank. And I'm like, that's a giant dude rocking a tank, and it worked. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong. I started watching a lot of folks like the Watch Gringa, so Brittany Pierce, started watching folks like her. I started watching people like Miss GMT, and really started to like, and I talked to her a little bit about this. And there's this real idea that like they aren't making watches necessarily that fit everybody's wrist per se, but tanks kind of do fit into that world of like a unisex watch that'll work for a bunch of people's different wrist size. And so I have a wrist that sits technically, even though I'm a bigger dude, fits, I'm a 7-inch wrist. So what I started doing was I started offering, when I'm in person, a service where I'll do a watch consultation service. So I'll take out a measuring tape and I'll measure your wrist. And 9 times out of 10, most people, they're like, oh, wait, I never thought this would fit me. I'm like, it does. It does. And next thing you know, they're walking off with the watch.
There you go.
So it's one of those things where it holds true. We'll get in our head like the case size about it, but unless you really understand the way lugs sit, the way even the bone structure of your wrist sits, you may say a watch won't work for you when in reality it actually kind of will. Not everything is just because it says, it's 44 case. Not everything sits like a Panerai, so we had to like kind of like adjust that. But that's where I'm rocking today. I had a little vintage and then a little new.
Nice. Now, did you draw inspiration for the La Promencia from like getting that watch first, and then you say, I want to design my own tank? Or can you speak about the La Promencia and how this design came about?
This line came around because a couple of reasons. I was sitting thinking about impact, right? Like, what can I do that makes impact in terms of the watches and how you look at them? And the biggest way that micro brands can make a standout impact is with the dial. And one of the pet peeves I had with Cartier, I love Cartier, by the way. Like, Cartier is an inspiration especially for the Adagio, the one that you have on Rio, is a big inspiration for like what you can imagine. But I started thinking about the family business. I started thinking about brothers that were building something. So the Rook Castle actually started out because one of the reasons is like one of my brothers, Isaiah, he's really into watches too. He's huge into watches. And he's one of the reasons why I like did my 360 back into the watch world was because of him. And so when we were thinking about names, I was like, oh yeah. He was like, and I was thinking about like the chessboard. He was like, Rook and Castle, because we're always thinking about strategy. And when you're playing chess, a lot of people know the queen as being the strongest piece on the board to protect the king.
Yeah.
But when you think about the point value of chess, because chess has point value to it, it's the rooks. The 2 rooks are the ones that are the strongest together. They make the most moves. They can actually there's a move called castling, where you move the chess piece and the rook jumps over to protect it even more. And I was like, wow, that's something like I'm really big on family. So I was like, the first thing I'm going to do is drop 2 watches, like a Rook and Castle. And I was like, but I want the color coordination to be different, similar to you look on a chessboard. Blue is very calming, and I think about Adagio Marino. So it's like the sea, blue ocean. You're supposed to capture a different things. And so when I think about dials, I'm thinking about light, how it hits. It should look like a different watch. I wanted something different than what Cartier does. I always felt like the use of the cabochon jewel was, in my opinion, I felt like they didn't use it in a way that would highlight that jewel enough at the time. And so if you look at
you're talking about
your
the
jewel
when you're saying that, you're talking about the
on the
crown,
crown,
right? Okay.
Yeah, on the crown. Yeah, when you look at it, it's a deep, deep blue, but the dials I make are gradient based, so they change as the light hits. So what happens is you're seeing a deep, dark blue from the side of the crown, and it carries over. So it makes the crown almost like a part of the experience of the dial. That's something you don't really get from Cartier. Now, Cartier has a bunch of different variants of what they've done with the tank. And don't get me wrong, I love some of the design. But I was thinking, well, one, you're going to get a 12-6 marker with how we do this. So we're thinking about space differently. And then two, you're going to actually play with the color coordination and how it sits on the wrist. Taking risk with like how we do engravings on the back of the case back. I wanted something different, but I wanted something really that would speak to family. So I wanted something you could wear, look really nice. If you were new to the world of watches, you wouldn't mind spending that money on it, and something that would really like invite you in too. Because I wasn't trying to scare people off with pricing. I know that happens in the watch world, and the biggest critics of watches are watch people. But you know, I really thought to myself, hey, if we do it this way, you'll find a bunch of value in it. And so that's what really pushed that blue dial. With the red dial, I said, you know, I'm going to take a risk here. This is going to be really risky, and I'm going to make the gradient even harsher.
It was. I could tell.
Right? It was, yeah, you can tell. It's like it's way different. It's eye-catching in a different way. The blue dial is more so like as you turn your wrist, especially when the like sunlight is hitting, especially if you're ever like driving your car and you got your arm up on the steering wheel, just look. It looks dope. It's so cool. But
you trying to get people to crash or something, bro? What you trying to do?
Hey,
that's next. That's the next design.
Hey! I see what you did, you know. But you know, I wanted something that was like, you know, I took from the blue. You have more of which sits almost close to an homage, but when you get to the red dial, you're starting to see, oh, this is really different. And so the crown now has the rook sitting on it. Everything is tied to like a reason of why. I call it the Carmine Nocturne because it invites almost like this nighttime feel with it. So I saw the other day how like, you know, you were rocking it out on the town, and it fit because you hear the jazz in the background, everything like that. And I'm a musician, so like you'll notice the names even are tied to pieces of music, right? So the Adagio has to deal with like tempo, and you're dealing with like the Nocturne, like whatever you're dealing with, like classical music, you got this type of like this idea that music can fit into like shapes and sounds. So I want you to get that experience with the tank. It was something different. I didn't really see a lot of like folks out there making tank watches like that. And in this way, don't get me wrong, there are micro brand tanks that are really killing it right now. But this was something that I thought was different.
Thank you for putting it all into like perspective that way. Do you think this is something that like you're gonna push further? Are you gonna try to push further with different dial colors? Are you gonna push further with different designs? Like where, like, because I know first of all, you're gonna keep your foot on the gas with these two designs, of course, as much as you can. But you know, as far as like Rook and Castle, like where do you see yourself these next 24 to 48 months?
So I'm working on some new things, and the thing is, every release I do is going to be built around kind of like a bespoke experience. So limited edition, once it's made, it's made. Once it's finished, it's finished. So the blue dial Adagio that you have on your wrist, only 100 of those I made. Only 50 of the Carmine Nocturne were made. And if you know anything about the world of like manufacturing for watches, getting down to that number is extremely hard to do. especially when you're doing anything that's custom, like anything like that. Because typically they want you to fill out orders that are based around inventory, stock, like usually 300 is the minimum of pieces they'll do for manufacturers. So when you're getting less than that, that's you're getting something that's really exclusive. And I'm trying to bring exclusive experience too. So that's another reason why you're going to see prices that vary, things like that. So the next piece is also going to be a limited edition piece. I have a couple of designs that I've lined up, one of which I can't talk about because it's some proprietary stuff on it. Yeah, but what I will say, it's going to be really cool GMT. I'll say that. So that was one of the pieces.
Exclusive.
It's going to be really cool GMT.
You heard it here first.
And the thing is, it's going to take some time to like get it up and get it out, because I'm sifting through different manufacturers right now to see who's going to like honor it the best way. But it's going to be done in a way that you probably haven't seen before too. So that's really cool. Another design I have is really built around the idea of reimagining what mother of the pearl looks like, and playing with texture and some things like that too. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm capturing the world of giving you an experience of different, right? I want it to be a different experience each time. So you notice like everything has to be different. Even every time you look at your wrist, as a color change, you're like, oh, I didn't even know it could hit this deep of a hue. So you're getting a different experience every time with your watch. With these other watches, you're going to get different experiences too. And so that's what I kind of like how I'm imagining it. And I'm trying to make sure I also like appropriately priced too. One of the hardest parts about the world of watches is finding the right pricing pinpoint too, because you can't underprice, but you can't overprice. You have to be honest about like your material. It's funny because like watch people, they know their materials. Yeah. they know their materials really well. They know movements really well, all of that. So these two watches, they're both quartz watches, but they're both different Japanese movements. So I upgraded the movement for the Adagio to a Seiko movement. Originally it was going to be a Miyota, so now it's a Seiko movement. So that one should get like 4 years out of life, right? Automatically, and then, the battery changer, good to go. The Carmine Nocturne uses a Miyota movement, but an upgraded Miyota movement too. And so you're not getting like stock off the shelf Chinese movements. Nothing's wrong with Chinese movements. My wife just got me a cool Seagull watch the other day. So I mean, but I wanted to make sure that people know what they're getting, what they're jumping into, and what they're doing. So that's honestly the way I did it, is make sure I'm doing something that's more bespoke, limited edition. As it goes, it goes. Once it's done, it's done.
I was just going to ask you, like about some of the challenges of starting your own brand. Have you received any pushback, and especially being Black in this space?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah. I mean, whenever you are one of a few to start or do anything, you're always going to have some challenges, right? So one of the biggest challenges, I remember I went into, and you already, anybody listening to this will know exactly what I mean when I say this. Whenever you go into a Reddit for feedback, just be prepared to hear everything that makes no sense, right? And so I did that, and it was actually one of the best decisions I ever did for a couple of reasons. Now, you have to be okay with filtering through feedback, right? So like I said, I'm used to being in the corporate world of dealing with people who say what they want, and you got to get it done. I'm used to that. Even if their communication style and language for getting it done isn't the best way. And so having people give feedback in Reddit, for me, wasn't necessarily the worst thing, because what happened was I just put it out there. Hey, this is where I am. This is what I did. Appreciate if you could support me. I'm here to answer questions. I think I went to the restroom, came back. That thing was jumping. It was going crazy. I think the first words or something along the lines, you want support for us to tell you about how much we hate your scam or something like that. It was something along those lines. I was like, trust me, if I was trying to scam y'all would know.
Right.
And also, I would pick a very different business
so many
model
different ways to
do that.
scam you. This one might not be the one.
I'm in Atlanta. Like, if I wanted to scam you, trust me, they're experts here on how to do that. And that was not the goal at all. But what I realized was that people have this expectation of someone taking advantage, right? And some of that also was being associated with me just because of what I looked like and who I was. People were just looking at me and saying, "Oh, this guy can't possibly." No, because they look at me and they expect anybody who's doing this to look like, no offense, and I love them, but like Teddy Baldassar, right? Yeah. They expect it to be a very specific type of person and individual doing this. And so I came to the ground saying, no, I'm going to earn your business and you're going to like this. And so I went right into that room and I said, hey, this is not a scam and here's why it's not. And they said, oh, well, this must have cost you $5. I was like, I spent thousands of dollars, bro. Trust me. I was like, I could have my back girl right now. Like, this was my decision because people don't take into account, not just the watches. They don't take into account the tariffs, and tariffs were going crazy at the time, right? They don't take into account the things that you have to deal with, like marketing. And when you pay for tariffs based off of country of origin. So when I upgrade the movement, I'm upgrading it. I'm getting tariffed on the Japanese movement. I'm getting tariffed on this thing or that thing. That's not how it works. And then also depending on the quality jumps what you're dealing with. So like I'm dealing with genuine leather straps. I'm dealing with these things that, as you start to build and understand, there's a process for almost Lego piecing together where you're trying to get and then getting even more specific. That's where I was sitting.
But now we're going to take it back to the crown real quick. So you had mentioned earlier that we were talking about investing in your watch brand, and you said like that could have been a bad girl. So now I have to ask, like, have you been through that authorized dealer experience that we were just alluding to? Like, and if so, like, how's that been for you?
I've had pro and con. I've had really good experience and not so good experience before. I think it kind of depends on where you are and who you're tied to and why you're going, right? So like if you have like the end, sometimes that can be a soft landing point. A good example is I went to so there's a really great jeweler in DC. It's kind of called Tiny Box Jewelers. Really, really awesome. And I walk in there with my brother. He's picking up something, and I'm like going through, and my brother's like, "Oh yeah, come over here," and he's like, "Let me introduce you." And next thing he's like, "Oh, my brother, he's like really into like watches," and he's like this, and I saw they had it was I was looking at some of the platinum joints they had up at Rolex, and next thing you know, here he comes. He said, "Come sit down for a second." And he's like, "Try it on." And I try it on, and he's like, "I got you if you And I'm like, "You just want me to just drop on a platinum right now, just like right now?" And here's my brother. He's next to me. He's just like, "Go ahead, do it." I'm like, "I'm married, bro. I can't just be out here."
Easy 70,000, 75,000.
Not too crazy.
He's like, I hear my brother in my ear, on the secondhand market, that one going for 70, he's only charged you 30. I mean, and I was like, we renovating the house, dog. What you talking about? Yeah. And so, but that was the thing though. They were willing and ready to do it right then and there. So completely different experience from what a lot of people have. Fast forward to me, ironically, also coming back from Jamaica. We were talking about like how I was diving with that watch. I'm leaving, going through the the duty free, and I always stop to see because some duty frees are better than others. So, but they had authorized Oris right up in there, and I go over and I see they have the Hank Aaron. And I'm coming out of Atlanta, so like that's a big joint, big deal for me. I know, Rye, you're a big believer in the Hank Aaron. I am also. And so like I gravitate towards, I'm like, I want this one right now. I'm like, I'll buy it right now. And my wife, she's like, whatever. She's like over on the bench, just over there, just looking at stuff or whatever. She's like, go ahead, do your thing. And I talking to the guy, he comes over, talks to me, and he says to me, he's like, oh man, like if you can find another deal that's better than this one, and they're an authorized dealer with the authorized warranty, we'll match it. I was like, oh, okay. Now I don't think he knew that I'm a watch guy, so like for me, I knew where to go, where to look, and I found like a really good deal. He couldn't believe it. So he calls another guy over. Another guy looks. He's like, "What?" He said, "No, they can't be." And it says right there, authorized. It says right there that they have the warranty XYZ. Because for me, it's just a matter of me like, do I buy it with you or do I just wait for it to get to me with them? That's all that matters to me at that point, right there. And they almost like to I'm not trying to make them sound terrible, but they started like kind of mocking the idea that was the cost. And so you mentioned kind of like earlier, like what is it like being like a founder that's like also like Black too as well. It's kind of like also like it goes hand in hand with the experience of being a patron at luxury places and also being Black sometimes. And some of the doubt, like, oh, can you actually afford this? That kind of thing that can come in. And I was like, paper is green, bro. Like chill. Like, like my dollar is green. Come on. So he was kind of rude. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I don't want it anymore. Like at this point, like it's not even something I don't feel comfortable giving you my money now based on this experience. So I like start to walk away and to like go check out some of the other like spots. And no one would talk to me. It was all like some of the people that don't look like me getting a lot of service. And at that point, I just like made my decision. I was like, you know what, it's not working. And I like leave. And I want to put emphasis. It was not my brothers and sisters that look like me in Jamaica that were doing this, by the way. So I just want to put that out there. Yeah. But it was definitely hand in hand with that classic experience that you get in the store when your mama used to tell you don't touch everything because XYZ. And that's what happened. And I was just kind of like, that's not what I wanted at all. Meanwhile, I'm based out of Atlanta. I walk up in a spot and they're used to seeing people that look like me walk into those spots and seeing people go in there and say, hey, I'm looking for, I'm looking for a green dial Datejust. Like, you got it? And they say, yeah, we just raised the price to 10, but we have it. Shout out to Rolex for raising the prices, but like they caught me off guard. I was literally about to go pick up a joint and they caught me off guard. I was like, what? But yeah, that was my experience. I think that's been experienced for people before, of all walks of life when it comes to jewelers. Some have a wonderful experience, some have a terrible experience. I think what matters is if you can, because often they want you to be with your local jeweler. My advice to anybody would be if the next closest jeweler that is authorized, that is like, I don't know, like maybe it's a 10-minute more drive, do that 10-minute more drive, like, and make them your local jeweler. It's okay. Do that instead and have them be the people who will service you, because that stuff is also noted. The brands take note of that information. They like, you think about like one of the reasons why I like tiny box jewelers so much was the variety they have, right? So they have people in there, dealing with Pateks, and so you walk in there and that boutique is beautiful and gorgeous and it's a great experience, but they all kind of work together, so they're all super kind to each other in there, and they're used to having people kind of like graduate from one thing to the next. And you got to remember, it's DC, a lot of politicians, a lot of like consultants. So they're used to seeing people start at, maybe you're starting a, just name a
Oris.
watch like a Tag or a
Mm-hmm.
Oris. You're starting somewhere there, and then they're seeing you go to like a Cartier, Santos, and then they're seeing you go to a Rolex Datejust, and they're seeing you eventually make your way up to like Calatrava. Like they're seeing you kind of like make your way around, and so because of that, they're used to like seeing people who start from the job that was paying them maybe like 70K and end up in a career where they're making like, 3 to 4. Like they're used to seeing that and they're like, hey, we want to celebrate you. And because we're used to seeing that path and seeing people that look different make that path, we're okay with like whatever it takes to get you there. I think that's one of the hardest parts when it comes to being like somebody in like the world of like building a brand. A brand is about legacy, right? Like so like Rolex has a legacy tied to everything from their marketing campaigns to, we talk about Rolex, like today's MLK Day. So like you got like Martin Luther King. So you have somebody who's like rocking a Rolex Datejust gold, like beside presidents. But then when he's at home, he's rocking a Timex, right? Like there are these things tied to legacy by these brands. And so I think a lot of times we sometimes are too quick to think that brands don't care. So like when you have these negative experiences, the brands they take note of that. They take serious note of all that information. So I think it's better for people to actually, when you get sent those like little feedback forms, things, fill those out. Like actually fill those things out because, like for example, Patek, the family, they have to actually make a case for you to get allocated a piece, right? So some pieces, when they're tied to a story of why, that the reason why that I was talking about the platinum joint that became an option for me, like the moment I walked in, was because me and the gentleman that was helping me out, he and I like we got into a really wonderful conversation just about Rolex, the history, their decisions around movements, around like 4 hertz versus 5 hertz, all these things we started to dive into. And when he saw that, oh no, this dude is like legit. He knows it. I know he's not about to flip this joint. He's like super excited about it. All of a sudden, he was like, I want to make you like a regular. If you go fly up here to DC a lot, like make me your guy. And so that's my advice to anybody. I would say give that feedback. Go to the place where you're welcomed. Spend your money how you want to spend your money. Like it's your money. Spend it how you want to spend it. Make smart choices. And then also be okay because we all get burned at some point. And so don't do this because you're trying to flip and make money. Like, because you will be disappointed.
So I wanted to kind of like use this moment because me and Rod kind of talk about, because you brought legacy up, right? And a lot of the things that we talk about on our platform, even having this platform at all, is because, he reached out to me randomly one day and asked me what I know about watches. And I kind of took that as a challenge, right? And here we are fast forwarding 11, 12 months later. So if a lot has to do with legacy, right? And you're in tech, right? You had the means to start a watch brand. A lot of this stuff that we're learning coming into the watch community, we're first generations of this from our families even, right? Like you have a brother, but I would look at that as the same generation, not necessarily you had a whole generation of people who may have been interested in watches, but I'm talking about really getting into this community, really being in this space because we make, you might make a certain amount of money. We're in the same industries. And I was saying like the tech business have birthed a lot of people who look like us or entertainment or other things, being first generation watch enthusiasts or watch collectors or members of country clubs or golfers. I'm into golf and my family look at me like, what are you doing? And stuff like that. Having those opportunities by you building a brand, right? I see you like to give back. You got the 5% that goes to a charity. And I know you're going to give you the opportunity to talk about that. But how do we have that bridge of they are about telling stories of legacy, but we're first generations involved into the community? Where does that intersect of saying, hey, there's a space for us as well, for us to have these conversations and be more inclusive within the watch community?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's also a tough question because I have two takes on it. One is that sometimes that history is not as far away as you think it is in terms of being actually tied to it in a certain way. So the legacy might not be directly in your family, or maybe it is, right? Like, and you just weren't aware of it. So like sometimes, like, because a lot of like history within, I'm about to put on my like master's degree hat real quick, and like, so forgive me for being a nerd, but like, in like the ethos of like you thinking about like for me as a black man, like Africana diaspora around, you traveling to a place to fight for a country and then come back and that country treat you terribly, right? So my grandfather on my father's side was a World War II vet. So he was issued the same watch though as his white counterparts, even though they were in separate companies, right? And so he still had the same watch though, right? And so there's that. But also, I found out recently that my great great grandfather on my mom's side, I knew he was a World War One vet actually, but that he actually was into watches, and he actually did. But I would have known that if one of like my aunts hadn't pulled me to the side and said, "I love that you're starting this." He said, "Did you know this about?" And next thing you know, she pulls out all these old photos of him with his company, these old grainy photos. She said, "There he is, right there." And I see him, and I'm like, "Wow, that's like some awesome Black history and also like American history tied with it of him doing that." And also being into watches. So like this thing that I have didn't just come from nowhere, right? Like there's that. But a lot of these stories are oral stories. These are stories that people like tell, which goes into the history of like African culture. Is like you have an orator who like actually like speaks and says, "This is your history," and it's usually really accurate, actually. And so that's the cool thing about that. But the hard part about that is if we don't share those stories, they get lost. They become lost, right? And so I think we have to do a really good job of telling people for the parts that actually are tied, that we actually do have some sort of tie to, that we actually say, "Hey, no, like this actually was a thing that you did. This was a thing that you actually have a tie to." The other one, and I'll make this one kind of brief, is I think we just have to be okay with starting new trends, right? Like we have to be okay with building for the next generation. We have to be okay with like experiencing something that looks different too, right? Like that's okay to like say, I want to go swing a golf club. That first time I swing it, it might go flying with the ball somewhere, but I want to go try it. We have to be okay with saying, I never played squash before, but let's see what this is, like that kind of thing. There are so many different bridges to a lot of this world.
And I still think that I view that goes back to first generation of, or this having access to. So, and I love that, you as a collector and enthusiast, is now a founder and owner of a watch brand, is opening up doors, right, to allow us to have more access and so on. What would you?
Can I ask y'all a question?
Go ahead.
I gotta ask y'all a question. Right now, I know it's gonna change tomorrow, but right now in your collection, what's your favorite piece in rotation that's not a Rook Castle? Go ahead. See, I helped y'all out. That's not a Rook Castle.
Well, thank you, because I do love this piece. I do like it. I really do wear it. But I would say for me, it is the Furlan Marri Sabia Rosa right now for me. Like it's to the point to where I wear it on the tannish beige strap right now, to where once I put the dark brown strap on, it's going to be a totally new experience for me. I did not think I liked more dressier watches that way. because it's more than just the finishing of it. I think it's punching up. Yes, it's a mega quartz watch for $750. It was closer to $500 before tariffs and price increases, but even for $750, I think I've gotten probably a lot more compliments and conversations around that piece that made me realize, like, okay, I see this obsession for two things. I see the obsession that people have for vintage Pateks. Because once I looked up the history and see that it was based off of a Patek Philippe reference 1463, and knowing that Andrea Furlan literally kind of like studied some of the pieces that are in the Patek Museum and some of these pieces that are literally archived in the museum and made his kind of renditions of them with modern technology. And he made it a mega quartz for a reason. He said there's a lot of Swiss history behind mega quartz movements that people don't know about. And that was an actual design choice to make it. Even their automatic pieces or mechanical pieces are $2,500 or less. And you're getting the experience of having a piece that is, you will never be able to touch because it's in a museum somewhere in Geneva.
Real. That's real.
And then I will say that will be, and then the second thing really quickly is that it makes me look into more of independent watchmakers. I feel like Furlan Marri is a bridge for me and my cost point and my knowledge base level to see what it would feel like if I was able to have a Rechepi, if I was able to see what a group, and don't get me wrong, they're nowhere near on that level. What I'm saying is that experience of having that independency of what that would be like. And then I think it would make me say, okay, now I would want to look at a glass shoot original because I want to see what a Lange and Song would feel like and grow into more.
When you see it in person, you like, what?
Yeah, so right now it's the Furlan Marri. I think it's opening up doors for me that I was not interested in at first.
Awesome. Rod, what about you?
So for me, I'm gonna say the.
I don't want people know what I got.
Nah, but I'm gonna just say the Rolex Datejust, the Ever Rose two-tone, the Wimbledon dial, the Wimbyama. Yeah. I would definitely say, like, if I had to like keep one piece and just get rid of the rest, I'm holding on to the Wimbledon for sure. Like, I love that piece. Like, that's the first one that, like, that's not the first Rolex I got, but it's the first, like, when I was like, I want a Rolex.
Hold on. It ain't the first Rolex I got.
Nah, I wasn't saying it like that.
I know.
I wasn't saying it like that, but nah, I was just
messing with you.
But nah.
He's too humble. I be trying to get him out the shit like, you humble, bro.
Nah, it was the first one where I'm like, okay, like, I want a Rolex, like, I want this one. So I got the still one, then I got that one. I'm like, yeah, I can call this shot. So it's fire, man. Like I said, it's my favorite one for sure.
That's dope. For sure. That's really dope.
And what about you?
It's a conversation starter. Yeah, how about yourself?
Outside of your own brand.
Outside of my own brand. So I just purchased a new joint. And it got here and I had to send it back to have it like, you're like, why would you do that? It's a vintage AP. And it's gold from the 80s, gold joint. It's 100% 18 karat gold, gold with a gold dial and the gold hands.
What is it called?
And it's got so I had to send you the exact reference number for it because it's one of those 80s joints where they didn't designate a specific name
reference
to it.
number.
It was like all a reference number. And I'll send you guys pictures of it so you can see. But I remember I saw it and I was like, what is this? Because it was very like straightforward, very simple, but it was just calling me. And then all that kept coming in the back of my head was the Jay-Z line, like, Audemars Piguet with the alligator strap. It just kept coming in. Literally, it has the alligator strap on it. And then it has an original AP buckle on it. And if you know AP buckles Some joints alone will go for like $700.
I wish AP dived back into some of their vintage design. I mean, listen, we already know the Royal Oak is like literally one of the best canvases for complication, integrated sports model, Joe Genta design. And I do think that they have some other designs as well. There are some code, 1159s that people have.
Yep.
I've seen like an adventuring dial. I've seen like a perpetual calendar version of it where those are like astronomical amounts. But they have some nice dress watches and a lot of different things that people may have not even seen, that I feel like they can not just revive, but revive with modern technology and innovation to bring those back to life. Because to be frank, the Royal Oak is literally carrying
the brand.
Yeah,
it's carrying the brand. It is. No, it's mainly what the first thing people say they want. Oh, I want a Royal Oak, and I'm like, like if I were being honest with you, like I think Calatrava is like, for like Patek, like their best offering, but people will never want to believe that over me saying, well, the sports watches are like, so that's why, like, I think some brands, like you think about Rolex, you think like some people, they say, I really need that GMT. I really need that GMT. And I'm like, well, I mean, there are other watches they have that I would argue are under the radar more, right? I think a lot of people are so used to the price point being a certain thing, but if they look into some of their like vintages, like for example, that what we have, like obviously with the Land Dweller is like based off of, but if you go back to like the Rolex, like the Oyster, like perpetual, like quartz, like Oysterquartz, that joint is fire.
They got some Oysterquartz dates and now, too. Yeah, like day dates. Yeah.
Yeah, and now the prices are starting to go up on those now because people saw, oh wait, that's kind of cool. That's kind of fire. I'm like, yeah.
Her service kind of get crazy, but yes, they are fire. Now, where can they find your brand? Where can they find you? Like I said, I think people should follow you just for your insight and your takes alone.
So you can find me at Rook and Castle Co. On IG, Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can find my brand itself. Our website is rookandcastleco.com. Definitely give a follow. Like, subscribe, all the wonderful things they say to do. And just like, also feel free to DM me. Like, I love like this game, talking about watches, and I'm a pretty chill dude too. So like, I'll talk to you about like why I think Breitling made the right and wrong choice by getting with the NFL team. So,
I was going to ask you what your hot take of the day was. Sound like you just made it.
My hot take is that branded watches have purpose, but they can be too much. And I think Breitling is a good example of that.
There you go.
Man, we can talk about that for a week, my brother. Man. We can talk about
look, there's some dope branded watches out there. Some dope. What was the one, the PS5 joint that they dropped? That what's the joint? A starts with, I can't remember the name of the company, but they dropped it in collaboration with PS5, and it's PS5 themed watches, and they have a mechanical one. I was like, this is actually really cool. This is really dope. That's a dope brand thing to do. There's also another one that's dope. What was it? TSO Baltimore has the one with the Old Bay. They have the Old Bay watch. They did so with Old Bay seasoning, which was hilarious to me. And when I like posted that, like somebody reached out to me. I know you lied. I was like, nah, I'm serious. This is a real thing. But when Breitling did the NFL joint, I was like, this is too much. This is too much to me.
You weren't feeling that. Like you weren't feeling all the teams on there.
Definitely. We could definitely take that offline and talk about that for sure, because we have our opinions about that as well, man. But no, we definitely thank you for your time, Matt, man. You're welcome back anytime. Like you said, like, comment, follow, subscribe to everything Rook and Castle has going on. For the watchers, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. For Rio the Watcher, I'm Rod Dye. Until next time.